My check. Dang, let me go back. My check. My check. Dang, let me go back. I'm a volume. I'm a volume. Y'all give me a second. My volume good? Let me know if my volume good. I guess so. So that's thumbs up means volume good. Okay. Y'all give me just a second and we're gonna get started. I'm gonna play some music real quick. Peace, Jadar. Peace, the Nah Rock and Roller. Peace, Sister Tawanda. Hotel Sean. Give me a second, y'all. I'm gonna invite, put this in a few groups, and we'll get started. I'm gonna, I guess, play some music real quick while I share it in the group real quick. So y'all, just give me about 5 minutes, and I'm gonna get started. 3 at the most. Started. Those that come in. All right, appreciate it, Sunshine. You said you already shared it. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it, man, with no delay. Give me 1 second.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. His faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man. I'm raising my team, red, black, and green, queen and king, salute, now scream, I share, bring from another hit, I share, I'm raising my team, red, black, and green, queen and king, salute, now scream, I share, bring from another hit, I share, I
All right. Today's presentation is called African Mask. Is it the first performance art? And is Africa Masquerades another form of divination and ancestor veneration? So after this presentation, I'm going to ask again, is Africa Masquerade, is it the first performance arts? And is Africa Masquerade another form of divination and ancestor veneration? So I'll ask again at the end, so y'all give me a conclusion that I prove, that I showed that African Masquerades, was it the first performance art? And is the African Masquerade another form of divination or ancestor veneration? For those that may not know what ancestor veneration or ancestor divination is, or what performance arts are, I'm going to talk about that real quick in just a second. And this is by me, Kofi Piesie. Okay, I have to give a disclaimer before I get started. I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. And that information provided is for the educational purpose only. And that information, purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research or have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms and use at my own discretion. All trademark design rights, copyrights, registrars' names, mottos, logos, avatars, the signals, and marks used or cited by this website are property of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available and or adapt changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, deletions encouraged. Peace, Aru. Peace, Darius Satepan Ra. ETM Hotep Monica. Peace, Sophie. Peace, Kendall Green. Peace, Terrence Dawkins. All right. This is my saying. I use this saying all the time. As I learn, we all learn. Again, I think this is an important saying. As we learn things, we should share information with the family. Again, this is the only way I feel like we'll be able to grow. We'll be able to succeed. We'll be able to excel if we share information and ideals with each other. All right. San Sean, y'all know him as any Red Sean Calfani. Me and him is the newest members of the Master Warrior clan, and he coined the phrase that our brother Benjamin Injai used in his last presentation dealing with energy. Sean coined the phrase before we do presentation called "Let's go to war." Monica, I'm sorry, send it. I'm just gonna say send it, Mo. Monica, what we talked about last night, going in talking to us later, LL. Y'all on the squad. Yeah, we on the squad. So here is I'm not gonna play all that, but that's the war song. Let's go to war. So we're gonna do that every time we do the presentation. All right, let's get into it. Masquerade. Masquerade. So I'm gonna give a few definitions so everybody can kind of be on point with me, because again, the presentation is called African Masquerade. Is it the first performance arts? And is it a form? Is African Masquerade another form of divination and ancestor veneration? So first definition is masquerade, a costume party at which masks are worn. And also I'm going to be distinguishing between the two is African masquerades and the masquerade balls or the masquerades that we put on today. Is it the same as the African masquerades, and where did the masquerades originate? Where did masquerades originate from? But again, masquerades, a costume party at which masks are worn. A masked ball, also called masku, a costume for such a party or ball. This is from the freedictionary.com. Masquerade, social gathering or personal wear of masks are often fantastic costumes. Costumes wear at such gatherings. This is from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Masquerade ceremonies, a masquerade ceremony or mass rites, festivals, processions, or dance in culture or religious events involving the wearing of masks. Examples include West Africa and African diaspora masquerades, such as the Egungun masquerades, Northern Edu masquerades, Nusuka Omba festivals, the Caribbean caravans, which is called Mas, and the Jonkonu. This is from wikipedia.org. All right, performance art, because again, I'm asking the questions, and at the end, I'm going to ask y'all, is African Masquerade of the first performance art? So I had to give the definition of what performance art is, and is African Masquerades another form of divination, and is another form of ancestor veneration. Performance arts, an artist that is involved in the theoretical presentation that incorporates various art forms such as dance, sculptures, music, etc. This is from the collegedictionary.com. Performance arts, a non-traditional art form, often with politics or tropical themes, that typically features a live presentation to an audience or an onlooker as on a street, and draws on such artists as acting, poetry, music, dance, and painting. So remember that. Peace, Julia Sandra. Peace, Dynastic Amir. All right, Oju Ogun. Now, Oju Ogun is a Yoruba word that means the face of the ancestors or the ancestor shrine. So, because again, I'm throwing the definition out here because I'm talking about I'm asking, is African masquerade another form of divination, and is it a form of ancestor veneration? Divination, from the Latin divinare or foreseer, to be inspired by God, related to the divinus, divine, is an attempt to gain insight into a question or situation by a way of an standardized process of rituals. Used as various forms throughout history, diviners ascertain their interpretations of how an acquirer should process by reading signs, events, or omens, or through alleged contacts with the supernatural agency. Divination can be seen as a systematic method with which to organize what appears to be disjointed, random, facet, or extension, such they provides insight into a problem at hand. If a distinction is to be made between divination and fortune telling, divination has more formal or ritualistic elements and is often contain a more social characteristic, usually in a religious context, as seen as a traditional African medicine. Fortune telling, on the other hand, is a more everyday practice for personal purpose. Particular divination methods vary by culture and religion. So I just wanted to throw these definitions and stuff out here before I get started. And again, I'm going to ask at the end, is African Masquerade the first performance art, and is African Masquerades another form of divination and ancestor veneration? Because again, when we talk about the Oje Ogun, we're talking about a shrine, or we're talking about an altar. And this altar is the interface between the spiritual world and the physical world, where we have contact with our ancestors when we set an altar up. So this is what the Oja Ogun is. And we do certain things on this altar to honor and to revere our ancestors and ask our ancestors for certain things. All right. Is African Masquerade another form of divination and ancestor veneration? That's the question. Masquerade performs many roles in life, mirroring the myriad influence of the spirits on the living world. They may be called upon to implement any task, civic or personal, from honor the dead to paying obedience to gods or plenty as thanksgiving for a good crop harvest that year, as seen as the New Yam Festival every August, to the Pacific pacifier of the anger spirits, to making social commentary using comedy, satirists, and expose immoral behavior, as performed by the Agbo of the southeastern Nigeria region, and to remind people to honor prevalent morals, ethics, and social codes. In addition, masquerades can play a more serious roles as tools of laws of order, instruments of divining justice that can catch criminals, meet and sentence, resolve disputes between neighbors, clans, and tribes. And basically, a lot of what this is talking about, the African masquerades, it deals with spirits. It deals with the Egungun. So we're gonna get more into that, and we're gonna get more into them doing the masqueraders wearing the costumes, which we're gonna get into the costumes, we're gonna get into the mask, we're gonna get into the performance, and what's the role of the masqueraders, what is the roles of the ancestors, or why they're calling upon the ancestors, and what the ancestors determines in the societies, as it was talking here, where it was talking about criminals. You know what I'm saying? Justice that can catch criminals, mete out sentence, and resolve disputes between neighborhoods. They use these masquerades for so many different things, and they use them for disputes in different societies, where they would throw on these masquerades, and the ancestors will give them an advice on how to solve or resolve a dispute in the neighborhood, as well as what is the punishable outcome for those in the society may create or have criminal behavior. But we're going to get into all of that. If something has been stolen from someone within the clan, and it already sounds like it has nothing to do with European masquerades or the masquerade parties or masquerade balls that we have put on or we have gone to already. We can already know just by this one slide that it has our masquerades, our ancestor masquerade has nothing to do with the masquerade balls, the European masquerade performance, what goes on today. I'm going to talk a little bit about those different masquerade balls, or where it originated from, where it went into other different regions it went into, and how they do their thing as well. For the instance of some has been stolen from someone within the clan. A specific masquerade may be divine. The purpose who commits the crime using direct knowledge obtains from ancestral spirits. The masquerades may then dance or perform in front of a prime suspect in order to signify to the rest of the clan that this person should be subject to a trial. Peace, peace, Hotep, Senate, Lisa, peace, John, Andrew, Henry. All right, what is a masquerades? What is masquerades? Masquerades are the human respiratories of an ancestral spirits of gods of West Africa cosmology, the representation of the divine, as well as the performance of a song, ritual dance, and dramatization of the spiritual or ethnical issues are unknown altogether as masquerades. The essential task of performers of the masquerades is the temporarily manifest or channel the spirits that they called upon to acquire information via divination, or to affirm to the living their internal presence. And just off of this side and the past slide, I can already go back with what the presentation is called. African Masquerades. It's African Masquerades, the first performance arts, and it's African Masquerades, another form of divination and ancestor veneration. I know if I ask that question right now, people can probably give me the answer yes, or they can give me the answer no right now, just basically off of those two slides, this slide and the previous slide.
or religious secret societies may wear masks and costumes to represent all the classes of supernatural beings. Form maternal and paternal ancestry to the gods that affect their daily lives, such as their gods of fertility, their gods of fire, their gods of rain. In fact, throughout the whole sub-Saharan West Africa tradition, pre-colonial religions upholds that the ancestors of the living is the unseen spirit world, strongly influence the fabrics of the living world for good or ill. Anything from the weather to the human relationship. Any occasion of ceremony, worship, or celebration in West Africa culture is strongly underpinned by this sense of spirituality. And we know that anyone that is a practitioner and practice any type of African spirituality, that we believe that our ancestors are still here with us. Our ancestors, we can call upon our ancestors for help or for guidance or for decisions. In fact, tradition, civic life was throughout infused with it. The theoretical narrative of rituals performance by masquerades on these occasions symbolically bridged earthly and spiritual worlds. As a masquerade, and it says bridge, here it says bridge the earthly and spiritual world. As a masquerade becomes divine and immersed, this is why they are feared and revered, as well as loved and respected in the traditional community. Literary scholars have defined masquerades as a covering, a concealment, and a disguise devised by an individual or a group within a view to represent a spirit, an animal, philosophy, or an ideal, where they consider the costumes associated with masquerades as a physical representation of this disguise. This definition contradicts completely the views of most African societies of masquerades and their costumes. In most African societies, masquerades are associated with ancestors, goodwill, and governance. And that is true. And we're going to get more into that. It deals specifically with spirits. It deals specifically with ancestors. It deals specifically with goodwill, because when you're talking about goodwill, you're talking about good character. You're talking about Iwa Pele. You're talking about Iwa Riwi. And we know good character is cemented in our societies and our spiritual systems. And for those that may not have need more understanding or a better understanding, again, go to my channel, Kofi Piesie TV, and go to the Iwa Pele and Ori Tutu presentation, and I break down good character. I break it down real good. And it says governance. And these ancestors, our ancestors govern our society. Again, we call the ancestors to help with important decisions in our societies, our clans, or our nation, or to resolve issues that are going on in our societies, and the ancestors to reiterate how our systems or our society is based off of good character. So they are reiterating good character into the society. They defend and safeguard societies and according prevented all potent threats to their existence and their related institutions, commenting on the importance of this security and governance is in pre-Christianity and Islam Nigeria society. We appeal to our ancestors first. They are our defense. That's a fact, man. All right. In every culture, there is a certain ideal explicit in the iteration of different elements, which in turn sometimes act as an instrument of social control, and which different cultural segments are held together. Prior to a spread of the Islamic and the Christianity influence, the people believe in a complex structure of spirits and ancestors who influence the living. And This is true because prior to the invasions of the Berber coast or the Sahara coast slave trade by the Arabs, who forced by the sword or other methods of converting into Islam, or those Europeans who came into our areas and evangelized and spreaded their Christianity, we were always honoring our ancestors. We always believed that our ancestors influenced the living, influenced the society. We always believed in that prior to these different invasions and these different religions that we took upon by these invaders. Now we say anything about ancestor veneration, ancestor honor, setting up altars and certain things. It is now it has become demonized because of these different outsiders coming in and influencing us with their perspective, their way of life, and their basic standards of belief on their religions or how their religion is supposed to go. Traditions reflects. Hold on. The people believe in a complex structure of spirits and ancestors who influence the living. Traditional belief reflects the wholeness of the universe, the various elements of which constitute not only the living, but also the dead and the spirits. Throughout history, these village ancestors performed the rites and transverse and plays protective and regulatory roles in the affairs of the living, specifically in governing the laws which were incapable of punishment by. And again, these different masquerades were took on again for the ancestors to speak through the masqueraders to reiterate to the society goodwill or good character, and also to resolve disputes in the society, or to make sure that everyone is governed by the laws that the ancestors of the Egungun or the Aku has already set forth. We use more good character in our present day society. Yeah, most of us do, Senate. African. Okay, over here I have the Mingaji masquerades near Garuru, Congo Democratic Republic. And then here I have the masquerade ball. This is in France right here. So there's two different. I'm just showing the costumes here. We're going to show more costumes and some other things later, but here is the costumes over here in the Congo dealing with their masquerade, and here is the costumes that's dealing with the European, their masquerade balls that's in France. Africa and the Africans' perceptions of the masquerades is completely different from the views of the European counterparts, who limit the masquerades to objects of pleasure and entertainment. So with some of the slides that I have already showed, it is the masquerades do have something to do with entertainment, but it has a lot to do with the ancestors, with the spirits. That would specifically the our masquerades are evolved around. This because while the Western world, anything under the mask can be passed for a masquerade. To Africa and the Africans, the masquerades are dead ancestors among the living, which is hinged on the belief that human life does not end in a physical death. And our ancestors understand that. They understand that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one state to the next. It is their conception that life is made up of the body and the soul, and that the soul is conceived as the spirit, and the soul is also is conceived. And we call the spirit in North Africa the Ka. We call it in the Yoruba culture, we call it the Ashe. In the Guana Bazon, the people, they call it the Iri. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones that slip in my mind right now. But it is also conceived in this way at the death in any way, any man, that spirits continue its existence in some indescribable environment where they also commune with the living. The spirit world is seen as a duplication of life here on earth, and the spirit transforms into a person. Peace, Patrick. Peace, Tasha. We have to define it and demonstrate it until the people catch on. I know, sin. All right. Here is something from the Esna people that's in Nigeria as well. I can't remember what part of Nigeria. I think it's eastern Nigeria that the Esna people are in. Among the Esna, the Irini Ilami masquerade are an organic to their myth and creation. And also the masquerades are evolved around our myth or our cosmology or our creation story. Anything that deals with any type of spiritual system or any types of religion, it has a cosmology. It has a creator story. It has a creator that create things. But in our system, our creator, we are not outside of our creator. And most of the major religions, well, I'm not going to say the major, we're the three major religions that is accepted here in North America that we call the United States: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We have been misinformed that the creator or the supreme deity is outside of creation. But every cosmology, every society has a cosmology story. So in the African masquerade that also deal with ancestors or deal with spirits or communication with the ancestors of those who have passed and transitioned into the Egungun, the masquerades are also deals with the ancestors, again, resolving the disputes in the society and reiterating goodwill and good character, because that is the foundation of our systems and our societies, as well as the masquerades playing a role or playing out or performing the creation stories. In this way, the functions as a major stabilizers of people's destiny. As far as the people are concerned, they are ancestral spirits who periodically visit the living forbearance in the masquerade forms. Their visits are regarded as spiritual interventions to the world of the living as a result of a highly venerated. They are symbolic resurrections of the ancestors. To the Ifuku, Ibaji, Iguwu masquerade symbolize both the ancestral shrine as well as a representation, and I'm going to say that again. The Ifuku or the Abaji Egwu masquerades symbolize both the ancestral shrine as well as they represented the resurrection spirit of the dead elders. And again, going back to the title of the presentation, African Masquerades. Is African Masquerades the first performance art, and is African Masquerades another form of divination and ancestor veneration? And I gave you the terms while ago, the definitions of the terms, and I even gave you the terms of the Oja Ogun, which is the face of the ancestor or the ancestral shrine or an altar that we may have erect in our homes and so forth to honor or venerate the ancestors. So again, I can ask the question now, and most people just through some of the slides can already answer the question proposed. Is African Masquerade the first performance art, and is the African Masquerades another form of divination and ancestor veneration? Masquerade symbolizes both ancestral shrine as well as representing the resurrected spirit of the dead elders, who appears and performs, plays, and protects the regularity roles in the affairs of the living. And again, as this book is stating here, it says that the protect, because we believe, because this is where the concept of angels come from. The angels protecting us. This is where this concept comes from, our ancestors protecting us. and it says regulator roles in affairs of the living. We believe that our ancestor plays a heavy role in our lives. This is what we believe in, that they play a heavy role in our affairs. And again, the masquerade is around ancestor worship, veneration, honor, and to invoke the ancestors and ask them for an advice, and for the ancestors to reiterate or govern, to reiterate the laws that they have already left behind. Specifically, it governs the laws which were irrevocable and punishable by death. In the Ajagon society, which is if you want to know more about the Ajagon people, you can also go to my YouTube channel, Kofi Piesie TV, and look at the scroll down till you see the Ajagon People Society presentation. I didn't do the presentation. I had my good brother Ini Haret Sean Calfani to come on and present information. And anybody else that wants to come on my channel or my platform to present information, just holler at me, and we can make that happen. We have to check your methodology out first, but you're more than welcome to come on the platform and present your information. But he did an excellent presentation, the Ajagon people presentation. But in the Ajagon Society of Cross Rivers, the task of detecting witches and wizards rested with the Echi Abasan Injon. The masquerade is usually carried this function in willing, gliding dancing organized by the society. The Echi Abasi Injon was usually accompanied by attendants as swiftly moved around the settlement in search of witches and wizards in their hideouts. All over Yoruba land, the Agungun represents the spirit of the ancestors who have descended from heaven/mountains. It celebrated a period when the dead interact with the living, as their responsibilities to compel the living to uphold the ethical standards of past generations, as I said a while ago. I'm hollering. Hotep, I'm in my right. You say I'm hollering, send that Monica? Oh, you just saying holler. But even in this book, it's stating what I have already been stating. It says it celebrates a period when the dead interact with the living, as it is their responsibility to compel the living to uphold the ethical standards of the past generations. As I said a while ago, the masquerades was also for the ancestors to keep reiterating good character or goodwill, reiterating the laws that they have already passed down. All right, this is the Oja Ogun. I just want to show a face of this because this is the interface, because we're talking about the interface between the spiritual world and the physical world, or the Iko Oran, or the Iko Eya, which is the heavenly realm or the spiritual realm or the invisible realm and the physical realm. So, and I just took a picture of this. This was, I found this online. It's not mine. I wish this was mine, but this is a form of a shrine of the Oja Ogun, or an altar. And this folks got it decked out here. According to Dr. Emmanuel Osam Akubor article, African concepts, masquerades, and their roles in social control and stability. Some note on the Esna people of southern Nigeria. Masquerades, ancestor spirits, and community security. The Esna perspective. Masquerades occupied the central position in the mythogonic structure of Esna pantheon. They are organic to their myth and creation, because again, the masquerades are also a form of telling our cosmology stories, our creation stories. So they perform these creation stories out. In this way, the functions is as the major stabilizer of the people's destiny. As far as the people are concerned, masquerade forms their visits. As far as the people are concerned, they are ancestral spirits who periodically visit their living form bearers in masquerade forms. Their visits are regarded as spiritual interventions to the world of the living as a result of highly venerated. They are symbolic resurrections of the ancestors. Thus, the masquerades in Esna society, just like any other African community, is the process of man attempt to give beings to those very significant aspects in the depth of thought in the universe. In the lines with J. Obosiki, the shrines is awesome. The Africans understand the space of time underscores the importance positions of the masquerade traditions in this universe. And this understanding, the invidious graduations between the physical and the spiritual have a mutual existence. This is the world of the living and that of the ancestors. The masquerades appears is then intervention process between the two worlds. It provides a link for the needed continuum between them. This is done in order to vitalize, regenerate, and validate the essence of the living and the issues of the survivals. And here is just a picture of the Esna people in southern Nigeria with their the masqueraders with their mask and their costume on here. Peace, peace. Hotel Satepan Miriaman. All right. The name of a few African masquerades. The Esna is Ilimi or Irinmi. The Igbo is the Mmowo. The Yoruba is the Ogungun. The Igala or the Ibara is Igbo, which all then literally means spirit. The Congolese is the Minganji. And also in Yoruba, you got the Galili. Pacific Egungun masquerade in Yoruba are considered people rising from the dead, bones, skeletons made live, hence the assumptions that are heavenly beings. So I wanted to give a definition here. Yoruba dictionary, Egungun. You hear us say Egungun. You hear me say, and I wanted to jump ahead of myself, and I always say who I am and go through the formula. So let me stop. Egungun Majube Ibai, Egungun Kiki Egungun. So I just basically said I'm paying homage or giving respect or reverence to my ancestors. And Egungun means ancestors, but Egungun also means bones. And again, Egungun in the Yoruba dictionary also means bones or the bones of. So when we say that we are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, we are literally standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, those bones that has been deposited, has been buried in the ground that's beneath us that we stand on. So we are literally standing on the shoulders of the Egungun. Idian or you Ekha Yeho. It is only the ancestor spirit's eyes that dies, not his ears. This implies that there is a level of knowledge and ancestral spirit will make known to the living within his family setting, since they, ancestors, are believed to be around the living to protect them. So the Africans see Creator as the all-knowing and whose ultimate is the source of all knowledge, and the ancestors as the watch of the societies. And basically, I have already been reiterating that the masquerade is surrounding around the Egungun. It's surrounded around the ancestors, surrounded around the spirits, those who have transitioned and went on. The ancestors are playing a vital role in our society and in our everyday life. Even though they have transitioned, they are still here protecting us, guiding us. And the masquerades and the masqueraders that put these costumes and masks on and through these different ceremonies, through the masquerades, are evoking the spirits of the ancestors, and the ancestors are coming back to reiterate to the society the goodwill or good character in the society, and also to resolve issues if the society cannot resolve the issues already, and to set down the laws and reiterate the laws that they have already passed before they left here, or what they left behind. So we already know that the masquerades that we put on today, or the masquerade balls that we go to, which are European masquerades that we participate in, has nothing to do with our culture. Again, their European masquerades or masquerade balls are mostly surrounded around dressing up in these elaborate costumes and nothing but for celebration. It really has no type of meaning behind none of the things that our ancestors were doing. The Galili, and this information here, I was finished with my presentation, and this information here, because I might do a part 2, because I don't want to be too long, and I still got some more slides to go, but I'm trying to, you know, knock my time down so my presentations won't be too long as normal. And I had some information on the Galili people, but I mean the Galili masquerade, but I didn't have enough information to do actually go into it, because with the Galili and with the women of Senegal, peace, Felicia. Most of the masqueraders, and we're gonna get to in some more slides. Most of the masqueraders that in the masquerades are men. The women participate in the masquerades. They participate with organizing the masquerades. They participate in the singing of the masquerades. But most of the masqueraders are men. But in Senegal, the Senegal women are actually masqueraders. They are actually dressed in the mask and in the costumes, and they actually participate in the masquerades. And I'm gonna get into why majority of the men are masqueraders, or why they say it, even though I'm going to tell you I kind of disagree with that, you know, with why they do that. But we'll get into that. But the people in Nigeria that deals with the Galili masquerade, the women participate. They are the masqueraders. They are not just the organizers and singing in the masquerade. They are actually performing in the masquerade by dressing up in the costumes and the mask. But I got this information here from Sin-E Nefra Amin Ma'at Ra. That's my good brother Amin Ma'at Ra. So I got this little information from him. So I just touched on this because I was, you know, it was important, because I wanted to either do this or the Senegal women, to bring out the women, so we won't leave the women out, and just showing the men participate in the masquerade and the women not participate in the masquerade neither. So the Galili is performed by the Yoruba Nago community that is spread over Benin, Nigeria, and Togo. For more than the centuries, the ceremonies has been performed to pay tribute to the primordial mothers, Iya Nelia, and Iya means mother, Nelia means the primordial, and to the roles of the women played in the process of social organizations and development of the Yoruba society. The Galili speculates of the Yoruba is a public display by colorful masks, which combines art and ritual. I'm going to say that again. The Galili speculates a spectacular of the Yoruba is public display by colorful masks, which combines art and ritual dances to amuse, educate, and inspire worship. Galili celebrates Mother Owu Ayawa, a group included female ancestors and deities, as well as elderly women. I'm reiterating a lot of these terms for a reason. Women of the Yoruba Nago community, and the power of the spiritual capacity these women have in the society. However, this power may also be destructive and take the form of witchcraft, which is generally founded upon the Yoruba spirituality. Therefore, Galili serves as a function of appease this power as well. The Galili takes place every year after the harvest, and during the harvest season, masquerades would take place also. So the masqueraders, they would take place. You will have masquerade ceremonies during the harvest, and you will have masquerade ceremonies after the harvest, after they have come in and reaped the benefits from the harvest, the things that they have planted to grow. After it grows, they go back and they have a masquerade to honor the deities, because in our society, in our systems, we believe in a creator or a supreme being, and we have the super deity, as I would say, and the lesser deities. Again, when we deal with the Yoruba, you got Oleran, Odemare, which is the creator or the supreme being, and then you have the Orishas, which are the lesser deities. Then in the Vodam or the voodoo system, you have the Loals, which are the lesser deities in that community. The Absabon will be the lesser deities in the Ghana community. The Netchers in North Africa, when we deal with Kemet and so forth, you have a supreme being, you have the lesser deities. So during the masquerades, they would honor the deities. They will honor these lesser deities or the creator or the supreme deities for the them, planting things, and then them reaping the benefits for them planting those things. Peace, peace, Ebony, peace. Okay. Take place every year after the harvest at an important event and during droughts and epidemics, and are characterized by carved masks, dancing and chants, songs in the Yoruba language, and retracing the history and the myths of the Yoruba Nagu people. Their ceremony usually takes place at night on a public square, and the dancers prepare in the nearby house. The singers and the drummers are the first to appear. And again, we already established that for those who looked at a lot of my presentations, we know the drums was the heartbeat of the community as well. And the drums was implemented in whatever we was doing in the society, the drums was always present. The singers, and those that may have missed it and want more information on it, go to my channel, Kofi Piesie TV. I don't remember what the name of the presentation was, but whatever you come across that says something with drama, African drums, the heartbeat of the society, African communication, something in that form. But if you hadn't checked it out, please check it out. It's a good presentation. Are the first to appear. They are accompanied by an ostrich, and the following by a masked dancer wearing splendid costumes. There are a great deal of peace, James Miller. There are a great deal of proprietary craft work involved, especially mask carving and costume making. The performance conveys an oral heritage figures of the community and divided into groups of men and women led by the males and female head. It is only known mask society which also governs by women. Because again, I was talking again that most of the masqueraders in the African society to deal with the masquerades are men. But I only come across the people in Nigeria with the Nagu people and the Galili masquerade. And in Senegal, the women also participate in the masquerade for the dressing out with the costumes and the mask and so forth. The Senegal people and the people in Nigeria. Consider testimony and hold on. All right. The mask society, which also governed by women, although the Galili has nowadays adopted to a more patriotic society, the oral heritage and dance can be considered and testimony of a formal matriarchic order. Technical development is resulting in the gradual loss of traditional known and how tourists jeopardizes the Galili by turning it into a folklore product. So here is a picture here that was provided by my brother, good brother, I'm in my Atra. This is the Yoruba slash the Nago preparing for the masquerade. So you can see some of the elders in here making the mask and so forth for the masqueraders. Here was another picture that was provided to me by brother Ahmed Ma'at Ra. This is also in Benin. This is a costume of the Gali. So you can see the costume here. You can see the costume and the mask that the Nagu wears in their masquerades. All right. Now this is from I don't know if I'm gonna read all of this, but I wanted to just was to reiterate. I put this in here last minute for something, but the performance. Okay. The Yoruba performance repertoire includes various masquerade plays. I'm gonna say that again. Various masquerade plays. I'm gonna say that again. Various masquerade plays, folks, operas, and vibrant cinematic folk operas and vibrant cinematic scenes. And I'm reiterating these words for a reason, because I'm going to ask the question of the presentation again to see what the answers of the people in the chat is going to be. Perhaps most famous piece of Ron Branch. Perhaps the most famous among the European masterpieces, the Galili from the Kutu region of the most modern Republic of Benin, received an honor of being recognized as a masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage of humanity by the UNESCO. Other Yoruba cultural products that have gained international recognition includes the Ifa corpus, a collection of hundreds of poems used in divination ceremonies, and the Osun Oxbow sacred groves, one of the few remaining functional sites, traditions, religious ceremonies in the Nigeria, and the magnet of the visitors from all over the world. Recently, scholars' attentions has focused on the performance of the Egungun, representing as the ancestor spirit visiting the living. I'm gonna say that again. Focus on the performance of the Egungun, representing the ancestor spirit visiting the living. Epe, symbolic performance. I know y'all saying I'm crazy for repeating these words, but I'm just trying to beat some of these words in your head so when I ask the question, there will be no, you won't even have to think about it. Peace, Jerome A. Singleton. Drama presentation was good, excellent. Subscribe to Kofi Piesie. Please appreciate that. So those who haven't subscribed to the channel, please send that. Lisa put the link at the bottom of the chat in the chat, so you can click the link, subscribe, and hit the bell. Recent scholars' attention has focused on the performance of the Egungun, representation of ancestral spirit visiting the living. Ekpe, symbolic performance, various promoting values and fertility. Iyo, processions of the mass dancers. The Yoruba maintain widely observed systems of traditional manner. When greeting the elders, a man is to bow and a woman is to courtesy. Sometimes when greeting someone highly reputation, like a member of the royal house, a woman girl is to kneel. And I gave a demonstration is in my presentation that in that tradition, when you're meeting an elder, a woman would kneel with her hands behind her back, and a man will actually prostrate his whole body on the ground in front of the elder. Seeing Sean Calfani in one of his presentations also showed the same thing that I showed, reiterating how we greeted our elders in our community. And this here on the side is just, and I'm gonna show this again, but this is another costume in Nigeria. This is the Egungun masquerade dancer garment here, but I'll show that again in a minute. Okay, now I'm gonna get into this slide here. This piece, Dillier Bridge. I may be messing your name up, so please forgive me. The name of Kofi presentation was African drum, the oldest instrument of communication. Yeah, appreciate that, Sam, because I be having these long title names, man. And I do that for a reason too, but I be having these long title names and can't remember what the names of them. But okay, on this side we can see this form of dress wear and mask has nothing to do with us. So these are the masquerade balls and caravanners of Venus. So we're going to get into where some of the masquerades, where it spread it from West Africa and went into Italy, and it went into Venus, and then later it went on into England and to some and it went into the Caribbeans and so forth. So it spread it from West Africa, which it originated in West Africa, masquerade, the ideal of masquerading in West Africa. And again, it went into Italy, it went into Venus, and then it went into the other European countries, England, France, went into the Caribbeans, and it went into America. So the word masquerade has its roots in the French word masquerade. It is the Italian word mascaria, but the masquerades likely originated on West Africa coast. Similarity existed between the Italian comedian dell'arte and the Nigerian Yoruba mass comedy. Masquerade first began popular in Venice, Italy, and practice of masquerade balls quickly spread throughout Europe and England in the 18th century, was I was talking about. During the same period, African ceremony masquerade spread to the Caribbeans and southern eastern United States, where it involves into the caravan. West African masquerades, according to, and I'm not going to go into this, all of this on this slide here, but you can go back and look at the presentation. You can pause it and you can read. And basically this slide is just talking about, I talk about the West African masquerade, what we do in our masquerade, which I already reiterated this over and over in the previous slide. So we should already know what African masquerades is all about and so forth. And it just talks about the Venus masquerade, which it went into Venus, it went into Italy. I think it went into Italy first and then went into Venus. Then it went into these other European countries, England and so forth, into the Caribbeans, and then into America during the early 1800s. Okay, masquerades transform humans' identity to something else, often in other world spirits. I'm gonna say that again. Masquerades transform humans' identity to something else, often otherworld spirits. African masquerade examines the process of transformation through material of mask and throughout multimedia components of performance. I also talked about this in my African mask presentation. So if you haven't looked at my African mask presentation, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's something African mask. You can go to my channel, Kofi Piesie TV, and scroll down the content till you find a mask, and I talk about this because I go into all the different masks, and one of the slides I talk about how they put these masks on, and these certain masks are utilized for invoking the ancestor, or it is a intermediary. The mask is an intermediary between the living world and the spiritual world. I'm gonna get into that a little bit in these few slides. Okay, so we know that the African masquerades are based around, and I'm not even, because I'm going to ask the question, but let's just go into the mask. We know that the mask and the costumes are also plays a role in African masquerade. Peace, Darrell Austin. So let's go into some of the masks. This here on this side is a mask. This is the tricky details on this Luwana dance mask were carved with a small knife. So this is one of the masquerade masks here by the Luwana people. An artist trained in wood, and we're gonna, in these slides, I'm just gonna get into a few slides showing a few masks, what it took to make the mask, who made the masks, who did certain things to the mask, and so forth. Peace, Brother Edmund. An artist trained by wood carving make the mask. During an apprenticeship, the artist learns about a particular style of masks that are important to his community. A mask carver is always male and usually holds an important status among his people. And I talked about this too in my African mask presentation, about most of the people that carved the mask was male and were male. And they hold an important role or important status in their community for these individuals making masks. A mask is often made from a single piece of wood. The artist uses an axe-like tool called an adze to create the feature of the mask. Fine details are carved on the mask using a knife. The darkening of the add colors to the wood. An artist may soak the mask in mud, burn it, rub it with oil, or paint it with natural pigments or manufactured wood stains. In addition to wood, masks can be made with other materials, including beads, bells, feathers, metals, fur, raffia, which is nothing but a fiber from a palm tree, and shells. An artist will often make the mask in private. After the artist completes the mask, an elder will perform a ceremony to allow the spirit, and the elder will perform a ceremony to allow, hold on. Sorry about that, y'all. But let's go back to the last line. An artist will often make the mask in private. After the artist completes the mask, an elder will perform a ceremony to allow the spirit to inhabit the mask and give it power. So I talked about in my African mask presentation, and again, if you haven't looked at my African mask presentation, which was a powerful presentation, go to my channel, Kofi Piesie TV, subscribe, hit the bell, scroll down, and look at the presentation. But again, the mask was also an intermediary between the physical world and the spiritual world. This mask was used to evoke and call upon the ancestors. Likewise, when a mask is no longer in use, the elder performs a ceremony to remove its power. So in this slide, I wanted to show who makes the mask, and it is the male that always carves the mask, and the male has a high status in the community. And also show that it's the elder that actually performs a ceremony to the mask in order for it to have power, for it to have power for those who wear the mask to be able to, for it to be an intermediary between the physical and the spiritual world. All right, this is a mask representing the Kapili. It is characters, the Kapili people, a character form of popular masquerade among the Balu people of the Ivory Coast. In traditional Africa, a spiritual inhabits the mask upon its creation. So we know after the male makes the mask in the community, and he usually makes the mask in private, right? And then the elder comes and does a ceremony of the masquerade mask in order to have power, in order for, to invoke this power so it can be an intermediary between our world and the ancestral world, or the Egungun world. In tradition Africa, the spirits inhabit the mask upon its creation. When a man puts on a mask and costume, he gives up his own being. The identity of the spirit takes over. Sometimes this spirit can be another person, such as an ancestor. Other times, the spirit is an animal or a natural force. The person who performs with a mask, called a masker, will undergo a physical change. The costume worn with a mask is just as important as the mask itself. A masker dressed in a private and covered every inch of the body to conceal his identity. Costumes can be quite complex, made of hoops, petals, poles, and layers of fabrics and raffle, which raffle is a palm tree, different fabrics that come from the palm tree. I talked about this in my African fabrics, something. I don't know, it's a long name of that too, but if you hadn't seen that presentation, it's 2 parts, part 1 and the part 2. Check that out. It's on my channel as well. Unfortunately, while many museums collect masks, very few costumes survive. These masked spirits appears to the community in a music and dance performance. And again, I'm keep reiterating certain words because again, My presentation is called African Masquerades. Is it the first performance arts, and is it another form of divination and ancestor veneration? This is the question. It's actually a question, but it's a presentation. So I'm reiterating these words and going through these slides, and then at the end, I'm gonna ask the question, which I can ask the question now again, and no one will even have to think about it. And we can even, I'm even gonna ask the question: is masquerading the same as the masquerades that we put on today over here in America? Peace, Bernandi, not Bernandi Stewart. I hope I'm saying your name right. The mass spirit appears in the community in music and dance performance known as a masquerade. Sometimes the spirit's movements are unpredictable. Although audience members know that the human being is behind the mask, they accept that the spirit of the mask is present. They may respond to the spirit with fear or joy, depending on the purpose of the spirit visit. And again, we know in our traditions that even though our ancestors transitioned, they are still vital in our society and our community. They are still here to protect us and lend a helping hand if we need them. And they are here to help resolve any disputes that we may have against our fellow brother, countrymen, or clansmen. Klansmen, which I talked about in the previous slide. And those who may have missed some of the slides, you can go back later on and look at the slides. I talk about the masquerade. What is a masquerader? What is an African masquerade? And I go through what is the African masquerade. I even break down what is an Oju Ogun, which is ancestral shrine. I break down the definition of the masquerade ball, the distinction between the two different the European ceremony masquerade, the African masquerade, which evolves around spirits, or evolves around ancestors. It doesn't revolve around entertainment and dancing. It also, masquerades evolve around performing our cosmologies or our oral traditions and stories through the masquerades, and also honoring the ancestors and honoring the creator and the lesser deities during the harvest and after the harvest of being thankful for things growing for the resources in the ground. Members are known to human beings are behind the mask. They accept that the spirits of the mask is present. They may respond to the spirits with fear or joy depending on the purpose and the spirits visited. All right, this here is a mask used by the PD people depicted by the female antelope Mbembe. Mask can be grouped into three main forms: the mask, face mask, helmet mask, and headdress. The face mask is most common form of usual curve over the masker face, stop right before the ears. Other face masks often describes a plank mask or completely flat. The helmet mask covers the entire head and sits on the shoulders of the masker. And the third form of mask, the headdress, rests on top of the masker head. Even if the mask rests on top of the head, the costume goes over the entire head, and the mask is on top of the head, which I'll show a depiction of it. Because again, the masqueraders, they will be completely covered. Their body would not be shown at all. Their bodies will be complete from head to be covered from head to toe. The third form of mask and the headdress rest on top of the mask heads. The top keeps masker's identity disguised. A costume made of rafa or grass is attached to the headdress to cover his or her face. Some masks take a shape of humans. These masks often have stylized features to represent ideal beauty and strength. Other masks take to form a powerful animal that are important to the community, such as an elephant, an antelope, or a hawk. Sometimes masks combine attributes from different animals, or even combine humans and animal features. We see this all throughout African culture. When these features are brought together on mask, the power of each also combined. Mask comes in variety of sizes. Sometimes they are very small, just large enough to cover the masker's face. Other times they are extremely large or tall. For example, the Bua mask below is over 6 feet tall. And I forgot to add that in the slide because I wanted to show this mask. The masker must be strong to maintain his balance while wearing such a mask. This Bamu mask symbolizes an ancestor and is worn at funerals. And also the masquerades are also, which I forgot, also takes place during funerals. Ancestors are worn at funerals. And those that may want to know about the funeral rites and so forth, go to my channel, Kofi Piesie TV, and look at my African Rites of Passage presentation. And I go into those different stages of life. My channel has so much of our culture on it. And it is a channel that takes the black woman, black man, and black child Eurocentric mind and Africanizing. But this Bama mask symbolizes an ancestor and is worn in the funeral and memories of celebration. The masker place is on top, and his head wears a mesh veil to cover his face. And again, if the mask is on top of the head and is not covering the whole face, then the costume covers the whole face and the mask is on top of the head, because they have to be completely covered. Many masquerade marks transition within the cycle of life. When boys and girls mature from youth to adults, masquerade celebrates this life change and teaches children how to be adults. Masquerades also plays a large role in funeral ceremonies to help the deceased enter the afterlife. Masked spirits appears to honor ancestors, provide protection, and offer guidance. Peace, Alan. Masquerades performance honor spirits who brings prosperity to the community. Women are powerful in their own community because they are able to give birth, to help promote fertility. Masked spirits perform special ceremony. Masquerades are also performed at harvest times in honor, forming spirits and promoting success harvest. And this slide is just reiterating a lot of the things that I have already talked about on the previous slides. Masked spirits can provide protection and help maintain social order. Community may perform a masquerade to ask spirits for protection in war and against deceased and natural disasters. Elders wear masks to call upon ancestor spirits when they need assistance in the judging of the crimes. And again, I talked about this in the previous slides. The masquerades, again, we know African masquerades, our masquerades are for ancestor veneration. It is for calling upon the ancestors for guidance or for protection or to resolve issues in our community, and for our ancestors to reiterate goodwill and good character, what we call Iwa Pele or Iwa Riwi. Because we know that that is based, not saying that African societies were perfect, that's not what I'm saying, but the foundation was good character. And again, if for those that want more information on that, you can go to my brother Ben's website, and you can look at his article on character where he just put out, and you can go to my channel Kofi Piesie TV and again look at my presentation Iwa Pele and Ore Tutu presentation, and I go indulge into good character. And I explain it in so many different areas and how it is rooted in our traditions, and how when you talk about good character goes all the way back to the ancestors, and how good character is all tied into generosity. It's tied into being gentle. It's tied in being concern. So many different aspects I go into. That's a good presentation too. It's a little lengthy, but you can get a better understanding of what good character is and what gentle character is. Iwa Pele and Iwa Riri, even what is cool-headedness, which is Ore Tutu. Protect and war against diseases and natural disasters. Elders wear the mask I done read this already, I think. Masquerades are also performed at many occasions for simple celebrations. These include ancestral celebrations, royal events, religious ceremonies, weddings, and festivals. All right, this here is a mask of the Sandy Society. This was worn by mature women as part of the initiation ceremony for young girls. And again, the masquerades also goes back where the masqueraders have the masquerade ceremonies doing the rites of passage, the adulthood passage, which is one of the stages, which actually is the second stage of life when we're dealing with the rites of passage ceremonies. And again, I know I keep plugging my channel, but if you don't understand the rites of passage ceremony, or what the rites of, how many rites of passage is, or what they are, or what they're about, or how to go about it, go to my channel, Kofi Piesie TV, and scroll down till you find the rites of passage presentation. But please subscribe and hit the bell. All right, the Sandy Society of the Mandy people in the hold on. The women are not allowed to. Okay, hold on. Although the mask can represent either male or female figures, almost all maskers are males. And I talked about this in a previous slide, and we're going to get into that. In most African communities, although women are not allowed to wear masks, they still participate in the masquerades as the audience members. Again, they organize the masquerades, they participate in the singing and so forth in the masquerade. The majority of the men are the maskers, or the masqueraders that dress out in the costumes and wear the mask. But we're gonna get into we're gonna get into that a little bit. But listen, they often perform songs and dance to accompany the maskers. Women also assist in creating the mask costumes, sometimes even providing their own clothing for the female figures. The Sandy Society of the Mandy people in Sierra Leone is one exception to the men only rule. But I also, not only the people in Sierra Leone, the Sandy Society, but the Nago people on the other slide that I showed previous, the Galili masquerade, where the women are the masqueraders. Even though we know most of the men are the ones, or the masquerader that dress out during the masquerade, but in, you know, in the Sierra Leone and the Sandy Society, the women, they have an opportunity to do that. In Nigeria, the people, the Nagu people, their women have a right to do that. The Sandy Society and the Mendi people in Sierra Leone is one exception in the men only rule. The Sandy Society is a society of women responsible for teaching the young girls the skills and knowledge to become a woman. The spirit Saul appears to the young girl several times in the initiation period to provide guidance. The mask worn by the women represents an ideal woman. Now I'm going to go back, because I'm going to keep reiterating these words. The spirit Saul, appears to the young girl several times in the initiation period to provide guidance. The mask worn by the woman represents an ideal woman. The mask delicate of facial features, elaborate hairstyles, and rings on the neck representing a feminine beauty. I wish I could have had a better picture where I could have showed the Sandy mask. Initiation to manhood also can be considered as a secret measure. This was a situation where boys about reaching puberty age from 15 years were taken to sacred places where women do not visit. I talk about this again also in my presentation, the rites of passage, where between the ages of 14 and 15, the men is separated from society and the women is separated from society, where they go through these different trials and go through these different educational stage on how to become a man, because now they are going through their adult rites of passage on the women's side and on the men's side. So the man is taught how to be a man, how to protect a woman, how to be a husband, how to certain types of skills, techniques, and even they are introduced to the masquerades and even some of the information dealing with with some of the masquerade secret societies and so forth. Were taken into sacred places where women do not visit. In this place, these boys undergo the induction course of manhood. It was during the time that the boys were circumcised and taught the norms and values of society. It was during this period boys were introduced to the masquerade societies and the chiefs. It was during such occasion concoctions that were believed would make brave for to be brave were administrated to the boys. This is a picture here. This is initiation ritual among the Yaqui people. They're the Kasango Landa. This is in Belgium, Congo. And I may do a presentation on the Landi and a few other people, because I'm gonna come back Tuesday and I'm gonna do a presentation called Portuguese in Congo. My brother is doing a great, excellent job with his presentations. Inioret Sean California with the Portuguese, and I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna touch on Central Africa Tuesday. I'm gonna touch on the Portuguese. So I'm gonna go in on the Portuguese. I'm gonna do a Portuguese in the Congo presentation, and then I'm probably gonna follow up after the 18th century when slavery. After slavery was so-called in the 18th century in Africa, these people in the Congo area revisited the trading ports. And well, I ain't even go into it because it's gonna probably be like a part 2, but I'm gonna do part 1 Monday, and then I'm gonna come back and do something with these other group of people, the Landi and a few other people. This is the Yaqui people. This is a Yaqui mask that appears only during the lengthy initiation ceremony. So this is a young boy here. He's dressed out in his costume and this mask. All right, and I'm almost done, family. I think this is the last slide, and I got like a few pictures, and that's it. And again, I'm gonna ask the question, and I'm actually the presentation is a question. African Masquerades. African Masquerade, is it the first performance arts? And is African Masquerade another form of divination and ancestor veneration? However, often when people think of works, and I'm about 2 hours, and I didn't want to go 2 hours, seeing, but I had to keep adding slides, man, so I can drive my point home when I ask the question, so nobody wouldn't even have to really think about it when I ask the question. Dang, and I didn't want to be 2 hours. But I'm about done. I think this is the last slide for pictures, and I'll be done. But y'all rocking with me. I appreciate y'all staying and rocking out with me. But it's about over. However, oftentimes, by the way, y'all, Sean is my personal timekeeper. For y'all that don't know, Inioret Sean California is my personal timekeeper. I appreciate that, though, man. I ain't think I had been on it long. However, often when people think of works in visual arts in the theater performance, what reliable comes to their mind are usual stages of scenes, designs like props in normal theater events. When all has been set, I'm not going to read all this. The next thing is performance, where we see real human beings. I'm going to go back. How often when people think of works in visual art in a theater performance, what readily comes to mind are usually stage of scenic designs like props in a normal theater event. When all has been set, the next thing in performance where we see real human beings in bare face coming to act. So we think of humans, actors or actresses. Sometimes we even recognize these because the faces are seen and only costumes on their bodies according to the roles each assigned to play. But the masquerade is peculiar in the encounter with the African masquerades on stage. It is a sight of visual art. It is a stage, on the stage, it is a sight of visual art, form a performance of action along human beings and artistic drummers, singers, horns, blowers, and others. I'm not going to go through all of this. But again, I talked about how through the masquerades, they will put on performance of their cosmologies or put on performance of their oral tradition stories. So they are acting out, they are performing. And I'm not gonna read all of this. I mean, you can I'll leave it here for a second. Those that may want to come back and revisit some of the information, even when I put my sources up, you can go back through my sources, do what you want to do with the sources. If I made an error, don't mind, come back, let me know. You know, I like critique, let me know. And made an error, so forth. But this here, I'm gonna leave it here for a second. And if you want to read the rest of it, you can go through. You can read it. You can read the rest of it, and then. But let's go on. I'm done. Here is my Olori of Masi warrior clan Benjamin Nile. And Olori only means sheep, leader, head, high. And I put Olori because, again, me and Sean is the newest members of the Masi warrior clan. So this is the head, this is the leader of the Masi warrior clan. And this is a picture of my Olori, Benjamin Njai. And he is actually at a masquerade. And here's a picture of him here. And here's a picture with him here. I tell him he looks like a senior warden or a senior deacon. Those that may be in the Masonic world know exactly what I'm talking about, with him standing in his stance and the rod in his hand. You know, those, like I said, that's in the Masonic world may know, even though we know the Masonic order or the Masonic organization got a lot of his ideals from our systems. And I appreciate Olari Benjamin Njai, aka Black Panther. And I can't say your other name, but I appreciate him giving me these pictures. All right, here is another picture, and we winding down. This is the Ganji Masquerade near Gururu, Congo, the Democratic Republican. This is their costumes, their mask here. Here is another player wearing the Migobo mask at the Akumpa performance, Mjibon village, Afopo village group in Nigeria. So this is a mask he wearing and a costume that he has on. Here is the Puwu Atuki mask dancer, Mine Tensi Congo, Democratic in the Democratic Republican. Here is another picture of a masked dancers doing the Gilili performance in the Miko, Nigeria. I talked about the Gilili a little bit. Told you that my Sini Nefer, I'm in my Atra, which means good brother. My good brother gave me some information on the Gilili, and because I looked for some information, I didn't find but a little bit. Even with the Senegal people, I didn't find but a little bit, but I wanted to share that because I didn't want to leave the women out. Because again, we know most of the men had and I should have read the rest of that darn slide, or some of that slide, because I wanted to kind of go into the men, show you where they were saying that the men, the only reason why majority of the men was the masquerader because of their macho, said that the men have more power to invoke the ancestors than the woman did, you know. But I think I did pause it, so you can go back and you can read it in the entirety for yourself. But here is the masquerade. They honoring the great mother of the premortal mother with the women mask that they have on their face. Here is another, the Igbo mask dancer performance during the Onwo Asa Festival, Uwaba village in Nigeria. This is their mask and their outfits. Here is another one. I can't remember exactly where this was because I did the presentation and finished the presentation and forgot. I thought I put it in here, but I didn't put it in there. But this is two young boys, you know what I'm saying, doing their adult rights hood patches and them being introduced to the masquerades. Because again, you can see their mask, you can see the costumes that they have on. I can't remember exactly where this was. Here is the Egungun masquerade dance garments. This is the mask and the garment here. All right, and that concludes my presentation. Please go subscribe to Kofi Piesie TV, the channel that takes the black woman, black man, and black child, Eurocentric mind, and Africanize it. Also, I am a member of the Seshu Ma'a Ni Meta. So please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Seshu. Just type in Seshu Ma'a Ni Meta. By the time you type in Seshu Ma'a, it's going to already pop up. Subscribe to the channel. Again, I am a new member of the Masi Warrior Clan. So please go subscribe to our Masi Warrior Clan channel. It's content on there, and we got content coming on there every day. So I appreciate you all for tuning in. So do I to you all. Mo dupe or dupu, which means many thanks. Appreciate y'all for rocking out with me. I hope the presentation was informative. I hope I hadn't let anybody down with me presenting my information, because I know the way I present information is a little bit different than the way other people present information. I talk loud. I kind of sound like a preacher sometimes because I get excited about the information. I like sharing information. But again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And hopefully Tuesday I'll be back. I don't know if I'm going to come live on my channel, on live, a broadcast from Kofi Piesie channel, my channel, or go live from YouTube, but I'll be doing a presentation called the Portuguese in the Congo. So on that note, I want to say Shemim Hotep. Oh, hold on. Here are my references. I want to leave my references before I get off of here. Let me not the slides were backwards. You sure you done? Yeah, I'm done, man. I just had to show my references. The slide was messed up. The slides were upside down, but here are my references right here. So I'm gonna just keep it here for a second. So we look at the references, because I don't want nobody to say send Kofi done a presentation. He ain't got no references. He don't want nobody to look at his references and see where he got this information from. So here go my references right here. So here they are. You can pause it. If you go back and look at it, pause it, write it down, go to them, look at them, blase, so forth. But I'm done. And on that note, I want to say Shemim Hotep.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself, because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. His faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man.
Bridging my team, red, black, and green, queen, the king, salute, now scream, I should, spring, purple, underhanded, I should, vibe to a different frequency. I'm ripping my team, red, black, and green, queen, the king, salute, now scream, I should, spring, purple, underhanded, I should, vibe to a different frequency.